Hello. I want to shoot a video about some things. Oh, first of all, I'm not a cook. I'm not a cuisine expert, but I have something that I'm curious and I get information. Typical people that don't think they know shit. You know why? Because we are humans. We make mistakes. We are human beings. And some people think they know, but they don't. The worst thing is that when people that are supposed to know don't know. So there are some legends that Italian spread about some food that is Italian American, that is popular in America, that they think it's an Italian American food, something that was invented in America, in the United States. Actually, in two cases that's not true. Some people think that fettuccine alfredo is something American. Well, if you think that that is more known in America than in Italy, that's true. If you think that is a fake news and fettuccine alfredo don't exist in Italy, that's a big mistake. They were invented more or less 100 years ago, 180, around the First World War, in an Italian restaurant that is called a Roman restaurant called Alfredo alla Scrofa, something like that. Scrofa means sow, but it's a street. Okay, that's nothing to do with the real sows. And they got popular among people who came, Americans, actors. There was a period in Rome where there was a lot of what we call dolce vita in the 50s and the 60s. I don't know exactly, that's what I remember having seen a video. And they got popularized in the United States. So actually it's something invented in Rome, and it's I don't know the exact word in English because it's a technical cuisine word that I never used in English. I don't even know if there is an English word for that. Actually, it's whisk or mix. When you whisk things together. And the secret is fresh fettuccine. In Italian it's fettuccine. And I know in English they say fettuccine, but okay, it's fettuccine. And they use Parmesan cheese, seasoned 2 years, I think. Butter. I think they use good butter because the butter we have in Italy for the most part is shit. Italians are not famous for butter, okay? So the best butter you can get in Italy is not... There's a Danish butter that is quite expensive, but really it makes a difference. Italians, they only criticize other people, but the butter in Italy is made in a very bad way, okay? So I hope they use some quality butter, and I'm sure they do. So you make your own fettuccine with flour and fettuccine, you see, and egg or whatever, in a very good way, homemade. And then they just use Parmesan cheese and butter with a little bit of the water from the boiling with, you know, and they whisk together. I'm not a cook, so I think with the fettuccine they do something in a very skillful way. So they whisk these things, they mix, and they generate a kind of cream. Okay, all the thing is made on the spot right before serving the food. So this actually exists. Another thing is spaghetti and meatballs, that is deemed to be an American thing. Actually, sugo con pallottine, it means sauce with little balls, and they actually little. I'll show you the image. Okay. So I remember, because my mother was from Abruzzo, my father, and this. What is the difference? Difference is like every American thing, most of American things, they use big. So they don't melt, they don't not melt, they don't match spaghetti. It means you have to eat spaghetti and eat meatballs. They don't stick to the actual pasta. This a little bit more, okay, and there are many. So why Italians don't like, first of all, they don't like the idea that it's something that people think is Italian and they think it's not. Actually, Abruzzo is not, many of Abruzzo recipes are not famous in the whole of Italy, but I remember this. And I checked, I surfed the web and I found this. So I think that in America they make them bigger, because in America everything is bigger, the bigger the better, everything is bigger. It's bigger in America. I can tell you, I was there. You can tell a little bit by the way I speak. I don't speak 100% American English, but I lived there. And I mixed my Italian accent, my British accent, with a tinge of American accent. Some people think I have more of American accent, but anyway. So, sugo con pallottine. Pallottine means little balls. Actually, what we call polpetta is a little bit like meatballs. Sometimes American meatballs are well rounded, and Italian polpetta sometimes are a little bit flat, like crashed. Many times they don't have, they have some sauce they did not with tomato or tomato. And that's the second thing. Another thing that irritates, irks Italians is the American tendency to have an idea about Italian cuisine. And the first thing, they put garlic everywhere, parsley. We have it also in Italian we say everywhere, like the parsley. And actually it's not as widespread as we think. Actually, it's more onions. Onions are more in what we call soffritto, the thing that simmer in oil before you cook your sauce. We call sugo, we call it was salsa for other thing, usually mayonnaise, senape, but we call sugo usually what is put on pasta, from sugo. Sugo is juice. So we use more onions when we made our sauces than garlic. Garlic give a specific taste is for obviously aglio olio, peperoncino. We usually never use just oil and garlic. We add hot peppers. Another thing that I noticed, that Americans have this tendency to use huge amounts of things. So when I prepare something with garlic, I usually let it simmer. Clover is a way, not two or one for one person, and don't let it burn. And when the oil gets the smell, I remove the garlic from the frying pan. So other things is that I noticed, adding things that are not in the recipe. This idea that in America they have something to be good has to have a lot of juicy, fat ingredients. So this idea that if I add more garlic, if I add more parsley, carbonara, I see Gordon Brown, which is Ramsay. Gordon Brown is Prime Minister. That is from Scotland, but it belongs to Anglo-Saxon culture. And he adds things like peas or whatever in a carbonara, or creme fraiche, cream. No. I mean, you have to distinguish. Do I want to prepare something according to the taste of Americans? And most of the times tastes are acquired tastes. So you give them what you think they like, and they like it because they've been given them that, and they're accustomed to that. So it's a kind of vicious circle. Well, there are few recipes of food, kind of food in Italy where there's a lot of ingredients. Okay. One of these is pasta alla puttanesca or pizza quattro stagioni, but usually it's not the rule. Okay, it's not a standard thing. What I notice is they add meat where there's no meat, they add mushroom when there's no mushrooms, they add cream where there's no cream. Okay, anything goes. But instead of calling that Italian food, calling inspired by Italian cuisine, it makes more sense. I have this guitar. That's a guitar to do with anything. This guitar is by Epiphone, and it's the same model, the same name of the model I used Paul McCartney to compose yesterday. But it's made in the Far East, is cheaper, and is called the Texan 1964 inspired, and makes sense because this is not as good as the real 1964 instrument, and they make no bones about this. It's inspired. There are other instruments by Squier, that is kind of under brand of Fender, that's called vintage modified. Okay, you know why? Because when it comes to guitars, Americans are much more expert and discriminating than Italians. After all, they got the guitar from Spain, like pizza, and they make from Italy, but they made their own version. They made guitars with steel strings, they invented electric guitars, and there is a culture, American, not so much of a nylon string guitar, but it's a strong culture of acoustic guitars that was invented in the United States, and electric guitars. So is like what Italy is for certain kind of food, America is for guitars. So when it comes to guitars, they are very precise. When it comes to food, not so much. They don't have a lot of respect for other food, so I'm not against America, okay? I started this video blaming Italians for fake news about meatballs that do not exist in Italian food. Spaghetti with meatballs they exist, but they're in a certain region of Italy and they're much smaller, okay? Spaghetti Alfredo is not an Italian-American thing. It's a Roman thing that had more success in the United States. And some people are squeamish. Oh, it's an American thing. I will never eat that. That's bullshit, because it was invented in Italy, and also spaghetti with little tiny meatballs, but they were invented in Italy as well. Okay, so it's something Italian that has more success in America than in Italy, but it was invented in Italy. So it's not something that they invented in America and they think, oh, it's an Italian thing. Both recipes are Italian things. Obviously, I think they are much better in Italy. You see, when you're in America, and I've been there, and you eat some things like barbecue meat and other things that are typically American steaks, they're much better than the average counterpart in Italy. I don't say there's no good meat in Italy. There is in Florence, bistecca alla fiorentina, but generally speaking, Italians don't have a deep-rooted culture for just one food. It's more English and American. Cooking one steak or doing something, they like to mix and match, not so many ingredients like the American thing, but usually Italian have inventiveness, so they come up with something. Americans have their ways to cook that is much better. That doesn't mean that we don't have good meat, but the average expectation concerning the quality of meat and cooking in America, I think, is higher. Okay? I think also because they have more meat, because of cowboy culture, you know, also the McDonald's is inside this meat culture, red meat for the most part. That is not very healthy, but now and then. Okay, if you're not a vegetarian or a vegan, they have quite an appeal. So once a month, oh, you can eat big steak. If you eat the meat more than twice or a week, I think once a week is enough, mainly for red meat. But anyways, Americans are into other kinds of meat, okay? What I found sometimes unbearable is the attitude that Italians have when it comes to food. When it comes to anything, everything this is from abroad is much better. Everything is American, is British, is French. When it comes to food, there is a snobby attitude. Also because maybe Americans and British don't respect Italian recipes. But why would you expect to eat Italian food while you're in the United States, when there is a lot of good food? And anyway, Italian food unless you pay a lot of money and you go to the right restaurants, it will cost you I mean, to get good Italian food, and Italian is not that expensive, you have to pay much more in America. And at the end of the day, you go back to Italy and you can eat all your Italian food. So unless you live there, there's no meaning to eat. When it comes to pizza, I beg to differ. You have to take into account that there is more than one way to whip a cat. I don't remember if the idiom is like this, but anyway, I drink also Italian coffee, but sometimes I like more watery coffee. I used to find in Italy American ground coffee. I mean, for coffee machines with filter, and I liked it. Now I don't have it. American coffee is not legit, using a bigger mocha and making it more watery. I can like it also that, but anyway, do you need the right coffee with the right machine? Sometimes, yeah, that's American coffee. First of all, is stronger than Italian coffee, considering that you drink more. And most Italians have never drunk a properly prepared American style coffee. Okay? And if you find something, you don't have a lot of this one. If you're lucky, you find one type of American coffee. I don't find American coffee. I don't find in normal supermarket Greek coffee or Turkish coffee. There is a finely thin powder, because here you don't have a filter. And I like Greek coffee as well. You have to go somewhere specific and find that. I think in America you can find all these things. So there's more options. So don't underestimate American culture. I remember Americans are obsessed with food. Okay, Italians seems to be obsessed with quality food, not food as quantity. There is an offer of restaurants, fast food restaurants, everything in the middle, everywhere in America. I find that crazy. Like, Americans are food addicted people, and some are. But I found Italian attitudes. Well, it doesn't. Okay, I think Americans could have the same attitude for the way we prepare, or we think we can prepare American food. So I'd say American pizza, for example, is not bad. It's another thing. It's a completely other thing. I'd say Italian pizza. Actually, I've been exposed to three kinds of pizza. The Roman restaurant pizza, which is thin as a crust and is very thin. Well, the good side of a Roman pizza is okay. I like it because I was born here and I'm used to that. But one thing is that you don't eat a lot. It's too thin, and you should have a dish like this. Okay, to just have pizza and not be hungry after that. Napolitan pizza is a little bit thicker and is considered to be the original pizza. it's no, it's there are some restaurants in Rome, pizza restaurants, they offer pizza parlors, they offer that, but it's not very common. And the other is the pizza to take away, which is the poor people, all the people on the street, they use that. It can be good, can be bad, depending on if they have a lot of clients, they have a lot of fresh pizza to offer. They cut and they weigh and they give. Otherwise, can be very oily, can be bad. And I make my own pizza at home. It's not very difficult to make pizza. The only difficult thing, I don't have a good oven, because if I have a good oven with the right temperature, pizza is going to be good. My pizza has a limit. A limit is my oven is not professional, it's not good, and okay, I can eat it. I can make a perfect dough and all the ingredients, but they will never be cooked in 1 minute like they do. They get cooked in most expensive pizzeria have a wood oven. It doesn't mean that the oven is made of wood. It means the fire is wood burning. So I wanted to say these things because I've been following some videos, you know, during the quarantine lockdown period about all these things, and I noticed this: Americans tend to add things that are not in original recipe, thinking that the more I add, the more luxurious ingredients. How can I say luxurious? Anyway, ingredients fatty and full of taste, the better it is, the recipe it is not. Remember, the Italians tend to base their recipes not on how many ingredients they have, but how good the few ingredients are. Okay? And they add garlic everywhere. We don't get it a lot. Usually use aglio e olio, bruschetta, marinara, pizza marinara, spaghetti marinara. Not so much on pizza. But I understand that in America maybe they like it. Actually, they think they are eating like us, but they're not. And one thing that I don't like about restaurants nowadays is this tiny, teeny things. For God's sake, I don't want to get out of a restaurant and be hungry. And they're expensive. That's what we call in Italian presa per il culo. I mean, they're pulling our legs. I don't know where this fashion, when did this fashion start, but it's really stupid. I think that it's an exaggeration. You American, you have huge portions, servings, and then other restaurants, they have this time. Come on. So this is what I wanted to say as a person that shares both cultures, Italian cultures and in a way Anglo-Saxon culture. I can see things in a more unbiased way. That's it. And next time, one thing I want to add, American pizza is not that bad. It's just another thing. I mean, American pizza is fuller of taste, fuller of garlic, rosemary, whatever. The cheese is much more thick and fatty. It's like having something matte, and what is the opposite? Oh, have a brain fart. Matte, not shiny. Glossy. American pizzas are glossy. Okay? Ours are for the most part matte. Especially the fact that we have different kinds of pizza. Oh, I don't think Italians hate this pizza with ananas. I never ate it, but since there is pizza with Nutella, which is sweet, or pizza with anchovies, oh, I think actually you don't usually use bread and fruit, but I don't have an opinion, but maybe they're good. Maybe they're just a completely different thing. I don't know. I'm not a real cook. I don't know what I would add, and surely you add the ananas, the pineapple. Sorry, it's pineapple. Ananas in Italian. Since they call pizza called ananas, I said ananas. It's pineapple. They add the pineapple at the end. They don't cook it. But surely you don't use tomatoes and pineapple. And pineapple is good. Well, I have no idea. Goodbye.